Hello, possibility seekers. How are you? I'm back and I've got a great guest for you. I want to tell you all about her. Dr. Lerzan Aksoy is Dean and Professor of Marketing at Fordham University's Gabelli School of Business, my alma mater. From 2015 to 2022, she served as Associate Dean of Undergraduate Studies and Strategic Initiatives. She is the 2022 recipient of the American Marketing Association's Christopher Lovelock Career Contributions to the Services Discipline Award. Dr. Dean Aksoy's scholarship focuses on customer loyalty, and she has co-authored, wait for it, 5 books, one of which is on the New York Times bestseller list, and it is called the Wallet Allocation Rule. It's very interesting, actually. Dr. Aksoy is also a global nomad, having lived in 7 countries growing up. She's also a Fulbright scholar and has a Ph.D. in marketing from the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, an MBA from George Mason University, and a BS in Business Administration from Hacettepe University, Turkey. You're probably going to need to correct me on that. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you so much. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to have this conversation with you, Monique.
Thank you. Can you correct my bad Turkish and say how I was supposed to pronounce it?
It is not the easiest name, so it's Hacettepe University.
Yeah. Hacettepe. Thank you. So that brings us to an amazing start of our podcast, which is as soon as I learned about you, I was fascinated by the global citizen of the world that you are. Could you elaborate for the listeners and viewers all the countries you've lived in and what that's kind of done for your persona that we now know and love?
Sure, I would be happy to. So we have to go back, way back, to Santiago, Chile. And that's actually where I was born. But I'm originally from Turkey. And I was born in Santiago. We lived there for about 2 years. We then moved to Mexico City, and lived there for another 2 years. And after that to Jordan, Amman. That's actually where I started elementary school. And actually, a fun fact, I was in the same class as the princesses of Jordan.
Oh my gosh.
And then after that, we lived in Pakistan, in Karachi, for another 2 years, went back to Turkey for 4 years, and then back to Pakistan for another 7 years. So I graduated from high school from the Convent of Jesus and Mary in Karachi, Pakistan. So it's a Catholic high school, all girls Catholic high school. And then, went back to Turkey and started my undergrad. And in between that time of my graduation from high school and starting college, I actually was a teacher, a kindergarten teacher for a year.
I would have loved to have seen that, you and little people.
It was so fun. It was just absolutely fun. And then in Turkey, after my undergrad, I came to the United States on the Fulbright program, and then went back to Turkey and started my academic career there at Koç University, which is, a private institution there. And then when I got married and my husband was here in New Jersey, I moved back to the United States and joined Fordham and have been there ever since 2008. So it's been 16 years. So that's been my sort of the various countries I've lived in and how I've moved around.
That's amazing. Can you tell us how many languages and which languages you speak? Because that's just so compelling to me.
So I speak, in addition to English, I speak Turkish and a little bit of French, which I picked up along the way. And I used to be quite fluent in colloquial Urdu, but since I haven't really been practicing, I have lost that. And I'm told my first language was Spanish. But again, I only remember agua, which is water from my toddler days.
But it's, they always say that it's buried in the back and it can easily come out if it's sort of the genesis of the language is in your DNA almost, How do you say, I know we talked a little bit about, our mutual immigrant experiences, not but, how do you think that that has impacted the person that you became as a grown up?
At the time, obviously, when I was experiencing it, I didn't really understand or think through what impact that had on who I am and how I see the world. But I think it has a profound impact on it. And looking back, and who I am today, I can absolutely see it. The first thing that it did for me was it made me very flexible and adaptable as a person. Moving from one country to the next every 2 years, building relationships with friends and others that are in different countries. So I think the first capability or skill that it gave me was this ability to really be very flexible and adapt much more quickly to new environments and new places, new tasks, new positions. And then the second thing it gave me was an understanding of cultures and also of differences of opinion, differences in worldview, and differences in terms of how your perspective. So I became a much more, I think, open, understanding, empathetic person as a result of that. And so I think that was really another crucial and critical thing. And the third impact I think it had is, some of the countries I lived in were not as economically well off as, for example, the United States. So it really made me realize how important it is for us to care about others. We are here and we have this responsibility to give back to society and to make sure that we do our best to help those who may not have access to some of the things that we have access to. So it made me understand that that is so important.
So your dad was a diplomat, so that explains why you went from place to place. And your comment on, you went to Catholic high school, and you ended up you're now in a Jesuit institution seems so fitting, and the cura personalis and the idea that you're so beloved. I mean, let's for those of you who don't know Dr. Aksoy, she is beloved at Fordham, has been there a very long time. And when she shows up in a room, there's like an energy shift. So I'm just here to tell you that. For those of you who can't see her or don't know her, I'm getting to know her and I really appreciate it. The thing that's very interesting is this comment that you just made that I just want to put a finer point on. Open and understanding to other worldviews and other perspectives is something that I think academia needs desperately, because that is not always the case. And I think that, especially in schools that have a religious slant, it can be very polarizing. It's the right way, our way, no way, right? And so you're being where you are and having an impact on the way that the administration shows up and conducts themselves, comports themselves is so awesome, because I think we do need more empathy across the board, just in general, but certainly in academia, because it's so easy to fall into the trap of this is the right way to do things.
I also think that it's partly about understanding that everyone has a background and everyone has a way or context in which they grew up and that have shaped their viewpoints and how they see the world, and really understanding that and saying and respecting it, right? So everybody is entitled to their thoughts and perspective, and listening with that intent and with that respect is really, I think, important.
Well, it's also a skill. So, from the standpoint of, you can have a disagreement, but that doesn't mean you dislike the person. And so I have had experiences where people are not here, and it's more, I don't want to generalize, but I've had that experience with more people who have been born, raised, and only lived in the United States, have this perspective that you can't have a disagreement and stay friends, right? So, and that's like a European dinner table, like, sport. Let's disagree on everything and debate it, and then, go out for a glass of wine. But what had you fall in love with academia and marketing specifically over the course of, your career?
I love this. I love telling the story. I fell in love with marketing and academia because of a faculty member I had who taught us marketing at my undergraduate institution at Hacettepe University. And he had just come back from the United States and was working at one of the higher ed institutions in the US and was coming back and teaching us the principles of marketing class. And in that class, I just lit up and hearing him talk about what is marketing, all the examples, and it was just something that truly resonated with me. And he, I think, had a very big role in making me like marketing, appreciate marketing, and then decide that that was the path that I wanted to take. So anytime I myself teach a principles of marketing, which is the first course that all students take, getting exposed to what marketing is, I take all the courses seriously, but I take that lens of this is the first time the students are being exposed to this. So we want to make sure we do a good job of helping them understand what it is, what could be exciting about it, and if it is for you. So that's when I decided I was going to pursue marketing and do a PhD and pursue an academic career.
That's crazy. My adjunct marketing, one of my first adjunct marketing professors in undergrad turned out to hire me as her first employee when she started her business. And I was like, this marketing thing. And here we are, right? I'm running an on-demand CMO for the last 26 years. It's crazy. So, I want to unpack a little bit because my listeners and viewers rarely get a real life example of what marketing is. And if you ask 4 people what marketing is, you're going to get 7 answers, right? So the principles of marketing, in your view, have they changed since you and I went to undergrad?
I think that they definitely have changed. And I am also on the American Marketing Association's Academic Council. And I will be the president this year, actually, of the Academic Council. And one of the things at the AMA's Academic Council, and this year, we're going to be revising the definition of marketing.
Stop it. Really? Can you share? Because I'm super excited. I'm such a geek. But seriously, do we have a new definition?
Not yet, but we will. So I will definitely share it with you.
Wow.
Yeah, but I think that marketing in the past was much more, I think, viewed as selling, uh, opposed to this exchange. Marketing in the past was not as analytical, and the ideas of data-driven marketing was not as I think top of mind and important as it is today. And also in terms of digital and interactive, obviously, I when I went to college, and I'm dating myself here, but I was for the first time working on a computer that had a floppy disk. So I don't know if you remember those, Winnie, but floppy disk and IBM 8082,
Yes.
where
Oh
you
my
had
God.
these DOS prompts that you were typing to make it do something. So, and we didn't even have email. I mean, let alone the internet.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, so it's definitely changed for sure.
So, what or who inspires you?
So my students inspire me, for sure. It's one of the things that I always say is, as dean, I'm I'm not really able to teach classes because of all of the responsibilities and roles that I have, but it's something that I absolutely miss the most. That interaction in the classroom with the students and getting to know them with great depth throughout the semester. I mean, I get to interact with students now and talk, but having that sort of one semester and getting to interact with them on a weekly basis is just so special and so nice. So my students inspire me because they work so hard. They go on to, they're so bright and hardworking. They'll go on to these wonderful careers, and I keep in touch with many of them, which is so fulfilling. So they inspire me, and my family inspires me. My husband, Tim Kiningham, he's also a faculty member. He's an academic at St. John's University. And we've actually co-authored many of our papers and books together. And he inspires me. And my son Max, who's a teenager now, he's turning 13 in about a week.
Oh, happy birthday, Max.
Thank you. So he inspires me as well, and it's just wonderful to see him grow up and be this amazing amazing human being. So I would say those are who inspire me.
That's awesome. Yeah, you notice when I think the teenage years, even though everyone talked about the teenage years, but they're so fascinating because you get to see who they're becoming, and they get to claim their persona. And it's really interesting when I don't know, I just remember, my son Alex, who went to Gabelli, as you know, and he was just, and when he started to be able to debate and have a point of view and talk about being a global citizen of the world and having this context, I was like, wow, that's amazing. I never looked at it that way. So that is a refreshing sort of parenting experience that I enjoyed as well. It's fun. And so now I want to segue onto what you can tell the audience that impressed me when we first spoke about doing this podcast. And it's about your three core themes for life, which I thought, wow, I really need to bottle it and do a master class with you on that because I think it's helpful.
Terrific. So the three core themes, one is about ensuring that you're open, being open to new experiences, to new ideas, to new people. And I always, talk about how I ended up getting the Fulbright scholarship. Um, and I was in Hacettepe University, and we had this sort of the three musketeers, my friends. And my friend said, I'd love to go to the Fulbright Commission to find out what are some of the opportunities that are in the United States to study. And she said, would you like to come? And I said, sure. Why not?
You come from a place of yes. That's it, Dean. You come from a place of yes. Always. I love it.
Yes. So I said yes, and that ended up being a life changer for me. And I it turned out that I was able to apply for the Fulbright scholarship and program, and that's how I came to the United States. That's how I ended up going for my MBA and then my PhD in North Carolina, and launched my academic career. So that sort of being open and have that why not attitude, I think really helps me and serves me well. And it was not just that particular instance, but all throughout my career, when these opportunities have come my way, I have said, instead of saying why I can't do it, it's like, why is it that I can do it and why I should do it? So that lens, I think, has really served me well. And it's opened up. I mean, once you get into one opportunity, that then opens up another opportunity for you, and then another opportunity. And you just, that's the beauty of life, right? It's a journey, and you don't know sort of all the twists and turns that it's going to take and where you're going to end up. So I've really enjoyed that. And so I think that's one core theme I can definitely say, the openness and why not. The second theme that and value that I believe I really appreciate, embody, and live is this idea of doing the best that I can with whatever it is I have in front of me. And it's, many times you have a lot of things that you're trying to juggle and a lot of responsibilities. And there's always a reason to say, well, I'll just do this and I'll let it go. And not sort of be all in. So whenever I take something on, I always really get myself immersed in it, and I want to understand how I could do the best that I can in whatever it is I'm doing. And I don't want to say that it's perfectionism, but it's because I think that has sort of a different angle, but really sort of being all in and as there was a speaker, a CEO of one of the large insurance companies in the U.S., and he said, "Chop the wood in front of you." So, and that's really what I always do, is make sure I give the best that I can to whatever I have. And many times, what's happened is opportunities have again opened up without me actually even looking for them or asking for them, and they've sort of come to. So I find. And then the third is I really value the people that I work with and the team that I work with. And I hope that they all feel that, and I think they do. But it's very important for me to understand what is it that what is the goal they have in life? What are their aspirations? How can I help them get there? Um, is a core value that I really cherish, and also express my loyalty to them, demonstrate that I have their back, and that I am also there for them personally as well, whatever they're going through, because we all sort of, go through different things in life, and I want to be there for them and support them through those times as well. So those are the three things.
So your three, yeah, that's amazing. So thank you for sharing those with us. The three pillars of what you espouse and live. So first of all, I want to, just put a finer point on the fact that you not only say these things, you live these things. So I talk a lot about authentic voice in my book, and just also being in action. It's not enough to say something. If you don't actually live it, you have no credibility. So you live it. And I wanted you to give us a small example, if you could, of like, how did it show up in the workplace? So something happened with your team and they inherently understood that you were for them and by them, and they trust you.
Sure. So a very recent event um, was the university. There was an error, and a few of I think it was a team of 5 people, 5 or 6 people, who were overpaid accidentally. And when somebody is accidentally overpaid or double paid, what ends up happening is you have to make sure that you correct it. And so, this sort of took quite a bit of time to resolve. We went to HR, we went to the folks at the billing department, and all that. And it turned out that with the passing of time and the amount that sort of was overpaid, it wasn't the error of the folks who actually received it, but now they were actually being asked to pay back an amount that would be a significant impact, because you can't take back the money without the tax, so you have to put on sort of the total amount, which would then be paid back in while you're filing your taxes. So it impacted about 5 or 6 people, and it was going to be a very, very difficult. It was going to put them in a very difficult position. So I found out about it, and I reached out to a few folks, and said how difficult this was going to be for them as a family and financially, and got, basically the folks agreed and said it was our error, and so they wrote off a very significant amount of it. And then I pitched in a little bit as well, and so we were able to alleviate that issue. But and just the reactions to making that happen was wonderful. It made a huge impact on those individuals' lives, and I was just happy to help, and also have them know that I have their back, and I'm going to fight for them whatever is in my power and my ability.
That's pretty significant for a leader to do. If that doesn't engender loyalty, I don't know what does.
Yes, and my books, many of them are on loyalty.
I was just going to say that. Oh my gosh. Go ahead. Go ahead. You might please bring it full circle and tell people that the book, the Wallet Allocation Rule, is about loyalty, and I wanted you to kind of just elaborate on it a little bit because I was planning on potentially tying the two together, but you did it beautifully.
Yes. So for the start of my career for the past, I guess, 20 years, I've been studying loyalty, more in the context of business and customer loyalty and employee loyalty, and how it links back to firm performance and profitability. But the most recent book, The Wallet Allocation Rule, came about because I am very interested in questions and exploring questions as a scholar that are very managerially relevant. So, what is it that keeps managers up at night? What are the challenges that they're facing? And that's been one of the great privileges I've had of working with folks in industry and being able to collaborate, including my husband, who used to work at one of the large market research firms in the world. So the big challenge that we found companies and managers were facing is there are all of these measures. I mean, all of us get these surveys, right? Saying, hey, how satisfied are you after you leave a hotel or after you leave a restaurant? And you see these, gazillion surveys. And it's great. It's great to take the pulse of the customer, but many times those measures don't necessarily link back to strategic decision making that's going to help the organization's growth strategy. And we found that we could look at that in a very different way and actually provide that link. So to solve this, we worked with a few of our colleagues and came up with this wallet allocation rule. And the difference is it looks actually at relative ranking of where your brand stands relative to the other competitive brands that the customer is also using.
Not necessarily in the same category, right?
So it's usually in the same category.
Oh, relative brands that it's using. Okay, no, I got that. I'm following. Mhm.
So say if you're banking, you might be banking with multiple institutions. So you might be equally satisfied, right? You might actually rank two institutions uh, an, a 9 out of 10, right? But then there might be a third institution you bank with, and you might rank that a 10. So, although a 9 is a great score, it's not a 10. So, your relative rank is actually number 2 or 3 compared to that one that the customers rank 10. So, it looks at the world differently. So, instead of saying what is the absolute satisfaction level of the customer with that brand, you're looking at it in terms of relative satisfaction to the other competing brands in the same category. And when you look at the world that way, it turns out that the connection to share of wallet, revenue, and growth is actually very, very high and very, very close. So that was the whole premise of, in a nutshell, the whole premise of the book and why I think it really resonated and became a New York Times bestseller.
Congratulations on that. Yeah, so it's a very different spin than, let's say, than the NPR, the Net Promoter Scores, where would you basically the bottom line is how satisfied are you that you would actually tell other people about it too. That's this idea that I have a 9, a 9, and a 10. I'm a high scorer, but I'm going to tell people about the 10.
Yes, correct. That is absolutely right. And by the way, you can also use likelihood to recommend, which is the question that MPS uses, and use it in this context too. So if you say, how likely are you to recommend brand B, brand C, brand A that you use in the same category? But if you look at it as a relative rank, you get the same great close connection and result.
We are creatures of I was going to say habit, because inertia is a powerful thing, but when we have a great experience as humans, and I think it's more so now than ever, we do want to tell other people about it. We really do, because it's a great experience. Why not, right? Being connected to a brand is something that's everybody strives for in our business, for sure. And so, last question I want to ask you is, what would you tell your 30-year-old self if you had the opportunity to do that today?
I would tell my 30-year-old self. I mean, I'm pretty good at this, but I slip. But I would say be in the moment more. Because many times, when you're doing something and you have a certain goal or working something, you're not always enjoying and savoring that what you accomplish, what sort of is in front of you. Um, so I would say savor the moment more, and that's what I would say.
It's a great, great advice. I would have to say I would agree with you there. Mine was chill out. It's all going to work out. Right?
That too, yes.
It's going to work out. Life is okay. Nothing's going to blow up in your face or whatever. Just keep doing what you're doing the best you can do. Be open to the possibilities. And then, I look back and now I'm like, okay, I'm doing a podcast called Possibilities. What's that about? So there you go, right? Chill out and don't worry, be in the moment. It's funny because I have to remind myself of that all the time, even today.
Yes, I know. We slip up, right?
Absolutely. Because you're always like, I have to do, I have this thing, the next goal, next. You're like, wait, did I ever actually take a minute to breathe and acknowledge what has actually been accomplished? Have I sat for 5 minutes or a day and gotten sticky with the accomplishment? Like just sat in the moment of yes, and oh my God, look what has happened. And typically the answer is no. Yeah. I'm 60 and I'm going to be 60 and I'm still working on it. So there it is. There it is, my friends, a masterclass from Dr. Aksoy on how she has become the person that we know here today. Any other last thoughts? I know you've perused the book. There's some stuff in it that you may resonate with, some other stuff that you probably want to add to. What is a takeaway that you want people to have as a result of this podcast taping here?
So the last thought I have is actually related to one of the books that we wrote. And it's actually one of my favorite books that we've written is Why Loyalty Matters. And in that book, the key message is that happiness and success is only possible with and through other people. So that's the message I would leave you with and your listeners with is do not pay attention rather to those relationships that you have with your family, with your friends, with your coworkers, with people you meet, because that is the primary source and driver of happiness is number one. And all of the happiness research actually shows this. But at the same time, the second piece of it is also about career success. I can't tell you how many times I have had the support and the backing of people that I know who, when I met them, I had no idea what role they were going to play in my life 10 years down the line. But they ended up actually changing the trajectory of my life in a way that I never imagined. So treat everyone you meet with that authentic care for understanding who they are and building that connection.
Wow. And there, my friends, is your masterclass. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it and you. That was really, really great. And, listeners and viewers, please follow Dr. Aksoy on social media. Look out for what she says in the public domain. She's got a lot to share with us, and we have a lot to learn from her. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. All right, possibility seekers, until the next time, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate and love you. Make it a great day. Thank you so much for listening to Possibilities with Monique DeMeo, where we unpack life as a female mover and shaker. If you like the show, please consider liking it, or better still, subscribing to it and leaving us a rating. It truly does help. Also, you can pick up my book, The 7 Secrets to Creating a Life You Love, a practical guide for women in leadership. You can find the book, other episodes of this podcast, and how to stay in touch at moniquedemeo.com. DEMAIO. I look forward to seeing you again soon. With gratitude, Monique.